Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're not going to discuss any type of code or technology. Rather, we're going to compare the ChatGPT and the Google Bard just to see how it compares in the perspective of coding and information technology as well as computer science. Okay, before we start, if you're not familiar with my channel, I would really suggest watch some of my videos. I talk about all different types of web stack and technology stacks and how to create different types of applications in details. So please do watch my videos and subscribe my channel if it adds skills to your bag of skill set. Okay, so anyway, this is my channel, and if you have not watched one of my videos about ChatGPT, I will really suggest to watch it before this video. But again, it's not necessary. So you would go here, and this is the video I was recommending to watch because I already made one video about ChatGPT. So why do the comparison now? Well, I have done some requests to Google basically to put me on the wait list for the Bard, and yesterday I got an email, so they approved it. So I have basically access to the Google Bard, so I can try things. So I just thought I would want to compare both of these AI giants or AI experts to see how they really compare side by side. Now I will confess that I'm not going to do a comprehensive everything about ChatGPT and Bard. I will only try to compare those two technologies in terms of coding, information technology, and computer science, because that kind of relates to what I talk about and what I do in YouTube. And again, another disclaimer is this is no way to for me to promote any of those two technologies. This is just something like an amateur person trying to compare two separate technologies that are very popular and that are AI related and that can somehow help you in coding in terms of information technology and computer science. Having said all that, let's get to it. So the first question is, how do you really compare these two great AI-based technologies? Well, the best I could do is basically have a set of questions and ask the exact same questions to both of these technology and see how they answer and how they're really useful and how they're really relevant maybe. So let's see, that's how I would approach it, and I will ask exactly 6 different questions. They may seem trivial, but it actually may need a lot of thinking to do. So let's get to it. What I have is I have Bard on my left side and ChatGPT on my right side. So as you could see, this is the prompt that I can put in the Bard, and this is the prompt that I have for ChatGPT. So I'm going to ask the exact same question to both of these technologies and see how they respond. All right, here's the first question. The first question I'm going to ask is, write a Python code to show the worldwide death rates by country for COVID-19 pandemic since 2019. So I'm being very specific. So let's see how these technologies do with this question. Well, as you could see, ChatGPT started writing the answers, and it basically says that you're going to need a couple of libraries, request and matplotlib, which is cool because last time I asked this question, it didn't give me that step. And it seems like it is getting the data from some API somewhere, and then it's done. And of course, Google is done, and Google basically says that you need to get your data in the CSV file, and then once you get the data, then you just kind of do this thing using the matplotlib and also the panda, and you should be good to go. Now, the one neat thing about the Bard that you would see that you can see this little thing called view other drafts. So it may have various answers, right? This is draft 1 that it provided that probably thought that this is the best answer. But you can click on draft 2 and find a different answer, which doesn't look that much different to me. And then draft 3 is whatever that is, it's not that different. So, this is kind of cool. But of course, the interface that I see, in order to copy the code, you have to kind of select all this and then copy it and do it. And of course, the other neat thing about the Bard is you could click on Google it and it gives you this little link here, and you can click on it, which is nothing but doing the search. So that's different. But here, one thing I like about this is it kind of gave you a little bit more thorough answers. It gave you exactly what libraries you're going to need, and it also kind of showed you this code in Python and in a little window, looks like a code editor, which I like. Now, there's nothing I could do with this code other than just kind of copy and paste and run. It's not going to run because I don't really have this data. So first I have to get the data. However, I can try to run this code that's created by ChatGPT and see how it works. So here's my Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to paste that code and just run it as is. Let's see how it works. Wow, it did work. So yeah, of course, the year is from 2019, so it is a lot of data, and there's looks to be a peak at some point. So I'm not sure if this is right or not, but the code as is, what ChatGPT gave me, it just works as is. So that's cool. All right, so again, there's pros and cons. This one actually gave you 3 different drafts. This one gave you a thorough answer, and it also said that where it's getting the data from. Okay, so off to my next question. I'll leave it up to you guys to give the points to ChatGPT versus Bird. Who wins on this one. Next question. In the next one, I'm going to ask this: write code using Springboot and Thymeleaf for a simple web application with basic user authentication. So pretty simple, straightforward, and very specific. So let's see what it does. Enter and enter here. I go ChatGPT, started doing it. So here's an simple Springboot application with basic user authentication. So first, of course, it tells you to create a POM XML file, and then it's going on, and then of course then it creates a web security config, and then of course it probably will create something else after that. Here in Bird, it just kind of gave me one piece of code, and I'm not sure if this is right or not. It just says that here is a code Springboot and Thymeleaf for a simple application with basic user authentication. I don't think this is right. It has some Spring security web auto configuration stuff, and it also said this code will create Spring application Thymeleaf as a default template engine and Spring security with default configurations. The application will have a simple homepage with a login form and a logout button. When a user logs in, they'll be able to access the protected resources. This is interesting. I'm going to run this and see if it works. Whereas on ChatGPT, of course, ChatGPT has other issues, like it started creating your POM XML, web security config file, then did a controller, pretty nice, and then created looks to be an HTML file, and it created this, I think, home HTML, and then it started creating the hello HTML, and it kind of got stuck. So it didn't really finish it if you look at this thing. So I don't know. I mean, I suspect this code may work, but I'll give it a try. But this one is not complete on the ChatGPT side. So ChatGPT looks like incomplete to me. It tried to explain, pretty well, but it's not done. And here on Bird, give me the code, and I'll actually give it a try. Let's see what happens. Well, in order to try this code, of course, Bird didn't really give you any other thing other than this. Of course, you can look at the other drafts, and I think they're pretty much kind of similar. This probably has a little bit more meat to it. It kind of separated out the web configurator versus controller versus the service class, which they put in the exact same application, which is not a problem. And then this one, it also kind of did some filtering and controllers and all that. But in any case, I will choose the first one. What it didn't tell you is how to create the project and what other things that you need. So you literally you have to know, in order to create a Spring Boot application, what you're gonna need. So again, I'm gonna have to do mix and match. So I'm gonna have to create a Maven project and then kind of try to put this application's POM file, put this and then go from there. So I'm gonna have to do a mixed bag, copy some of the stuff from here, some stuff from here, and see if it works. So I have Eclipse up here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do create new Maven project, and I'm going to create it in this folder that I'm doing my stuff on, which is GPT versus verbs. I'm going to create it in here and say next. And of course, I don't really have any catalog. I mean, I can choose from maybe Spring. This one looks promising, so I think I'm going to choose this blank one and just hit next and call a test. Artifact ID is test.gpt versus Bard. It doesn't matter. And it's a finish. So of course it will create its own thing with the pom.xml, and then I'll just add that file. So it generated all this, which I actually don't need all of this thing. It seems to me, because I'm just going to go ahead and update this app. So let's go back to my Bird prompt, which is right here, and copy this guy and just kind of, let's say, paste this thing right here. Rid of the package and call this app just to be consistent. Let me rename this guy file. So as you could see, even though doing all that, creating a project from scratch and then just copying and pasting that piece of code, it still doesn't compile because it expects me to do certain things, like get this auto configuration and all that stuff. So it doesn't really work out of the that's straight from this window. So anyway, moving on. So I'm going to ask the third question. So neither one of these actually is a comprehensive code that really works. This one, I mean, ChatGPT looks a little better promising, but it actually incomplete code. It didn't even stop writing the entire thing. And whereas the Bird didn't even complete the whole code, just kind of gave you a little hint. So again, I'm not really sure if either of this thing was really helpful. Of course, you can Google it, then it's no different than just Googling the solution, which you can do today as well. All right, so moving on. My third question. The third question would be similar, but would be in a different technology arena, so which is write a code using struts, to, and tiles for a simple web application with basic user authentication. So same question I'm going to ask to ChatGPT and Bird as well, and let's see what it does. ChatGPT started already, as you could see. So again, it started with the POM XML, and it is using, I would say, maybe 2 versions down, 2.5.26. Actually, not 2, maybe 3-4 versions down. The latest one is 6.1, so it's using an older version, of course. And then yet you would create a POM XML, and then you would create this struts XML file. Whereas this guy, all it did, it literally just created an action class, looks to me. Yeah, it's a login controller action class in struts, and that's all it did. Of course, you could go look at this other drafts, which kind of did the same thing, again, other than just creating 2 separate classes. And this one is kind of like the same thing. Or, well, this one is a little different. It actually gave you the tiles definitions file as well. So a little more than that. But again, I think I have the same problem without going into too much details, because this is out of the scope, that it doesn't tell you exactly how to do this. It assumes that you know how to starts to project, create a project, and then kind of starts putting these bits and pieces into the right place and launch it. So it assumes that you already know certain things, which is, again, not for a beginner, and not even for some advanced programmer too. And in this case, in ChatGPT kind of did the same thing again. It started writing things, POM XML, struts, then tiles, and it went halfway through. There must be some kind of character limit or something, so it just kind of stopping. It's not even telling you that this is not everything. So again, not very helpful. So if you ask me, I wouldn't use either of these two for writing a comprehensive code for a web application. All right, so let's move on to my next question, which is an interesting one. So this one says, help me prepare for a Google interview for a software engineer position. Let's see what this one does. And Bard started already, and has ChatGPT. So ChatGPT started doing its thing, and I think both of this technology will do good on this question, because this is more like simple question that it can remember doing its language model. It can remember stuff that was on the internet. So, I mean, one benefit I could see, of course, there's Google always has this other drafts. You can look at these different drafts. And one thing I like about the answer on Bird side is it kind of gave you the bullet points saying you got to do this, got to do this, you got to do this in a bold. And then it gave you the details, which is kind of helpful sometimes. And this one, of course, it did give you the points. ChatGPT gave you a little bit more than what probably Google gave you. And again, I could go either way. I mean, I don't have any preference on this one. I think both of them did a good job, I think. And even on the side of Google, you can even Google it and get a lot of good answers as well. So good for both of them. So let's go to the next one. The next one is actually another useful one. This is more like a question that you can answer or not you can answer, you can ask as an executive. So this is basically says, what are some of the best companies that offer comprehensive web-based training? Do a complete compare and contrast, and then which one would you choose for a small company with limited budget? So this is a valid question that anyone can ask as an executive to get, to basically choose some company for their IT training. Now let's see what it does. Both of them are thinking, and there you go. And there is an answer. And of course, as Bird does it well, which is it kind of bulleted all the list of recommendations. And it also says when you're choosing, it doesn't really tell you which company to use, it probably says that use Udemy or Coursera. But then it also says wide range of available prices. You can also use free Khan Academy. So it didn't give you a specific choice, which is good. I mean, these are all good choices actually. And of course, ChatGPT is still writing. They're similar. And of course, you can always go look at the other drafts on Bard and see what they're saying. And it's kind of similar. This was something new, LinkedIn Learning. I didn't know about that one. Okay, so this one is good. I mean, you can definitely use the answer and make a decision based on that. It looks like the other one that I see in here is Pluralsight. It's a paid one that it added, which I think Bird didn't even consider. Again, and it's still writing it. I think it probably got a little sore, trying to think a lot. And it says if you have a small company with limited budget, Pluralsight and Udemy are the best options. Both platforms offer affordable pricing and wide range of IT courses. And it gave you some recommendation with the justification. What does Pluralsight do better? And what does probably Udemy does better. So again, I could go with both of these, and the fact that Bird missed the Pluralsight, which is kind of surprising to me. But I think I could take either one for an answer. So they both did a good job answering this. Okay, last question, but not the least. This can be a controversial question because it is asking the technology to choose a tech stack. So the question is, if you're told to create a robust web-based secure portal, what programming language and technology stack would you choose? Let's see what Google says, and let's see what ChatGPT says. So they can be very diplomatic, or they can also be very blunt. And of course, as you could see, Bird literally gave us the answer saying, well, you would choose Python or Java for the programming language. Those languages are both well suited for web development and are relatively easy to learn. Okay, so they kind of gave an answer, and you can go look at other ones, and other ones also said Python, Golang, and the third one basically says Python, Flash, Django, Primate. So looks like Python or Java is what Google is choosing. And in case of ChatGPT, it is kind of give a politically correct answer type thing, but it also kind of gives Java and Python, and it also says Spring Framework for Java and Django for Python. Both frameworks are robust. I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't disagree with them, but I probably wouldn't have chosen Python because Python is more like, to me, a language for AI models and not necessarily an enterprise level web-based language, when it comes to like millions of hits. So I mean, Java would be the choice, but either way, I think they both provided a comprehensive analysis and answer, and I could go with either of them. So I don't see an issue with that. So we have reached almost at the end of our video. As you saw that I compared both of these great technologies to see, how it answers the computer science, programming, and IT-related questions. Now, one more thing that I do like to point out is Bard has this nice thing called Reset Chat, which you, of course, resets the screen, but it also has something like a Bard activity, which you click on it, and you can actually literally kind of like clearing cache. It will clear out your chats based on what you choose. It could be a custom range, all time, last day, last hour. I really like this feature because I really don't want it to just clear everything or clear, based on whatever. So it gave me a choice. I don't think ChatGPT has that. ChatGPT has this clear conversation. It would clear it, and you have to like literally delete one by one. So that is another neat thing about Bard. But again, it says that Bard is an experiment. So as you can tell that, I'm sure they could probably do a lot better than that in the days to come. Another thing I would say that in ChatGPT, as maybe some people like this, but I really don't like that animation that once you start getting answers, it kind of typing it, kind of mimicking the robot. That can be pretty annoying sometimes because it gets pretty slow. It's not giving an answer right away, which I kind of like, opposed to ChatGPT, Bard as just gives you the answer right away. In any case, that was it. If you like this video, if it adds benefit to your skill set, please do like my video and subscribe my channel and watch some other videos that I have in my channel. Have a great day. Thanks.